Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. The nation will start 4 days of celebration on Thursday to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. However, in the modern world, are the royal family becoming something of an anachronism? Do we still need them? Outline your views on this subject. Why is it that you are so passionate about the existence of the royal family?
I've got quite a few reasons, really. One is that of the Constitution. You can't just say, we don't want you, and they go. There either has to be a revolution or there has to be something in Parliament where people vote whether they want the royal family or not. So it's quite complicated.
Yes.
I can't see any a whole load of MPs voting to get rid of the monarchy because they seem to support it. And the public support it very much indeed. You see what's happening in the next 4 days. You know, thousands, millions of people, not just here, but even in Australia and America, they all love the British royal family. It has a standing that no other monarchy has, actually. So
you feel that well, one of your arguments there is that it would be too difficult to get rid of the royal family.
No,
anyway.
not too difficult. I just think that people wouldn't want to do that. You know, it's complicated. You can't just say, well, you know, I don't like this actor, I'm never going to see him again in any play that he's in. You know, it is a complicated process.
Yes. In a sense, if you did officially abolish them, they would still be there and they would still be of interest to the media and tourism and all the rest of it.
Well, I doubt if they would be so interested in tourism. The whole point is that they are there. Another point is the money. People say that they're very expensive, but I looked it up, and that actually it costs each of us £1.29p a year to have the monarchy because there's so many millions of us in this country.
Yes.
So I don't think that works. I've got other ones, but you might want to come back to me.
Absolutely. Well, Peter, I'll come to you now. £1.29 a year? That seems quite a reasonable price to pay for such an institution that attracts so much tourism, so much international attention.
Well, that is a massage figure, but why should we give them a penny? The royals between them have personal wealth of over £500 million. The Queen's personal wealth is £350 million. The royals between them have 23 palaces, castles and luxurious residences. They have over 1,000 servants. This is anachronistic in the modern age. They are indulgent, they are pampered. I don't wish them harm or live in poverty, but we are spending far too much money on the royals when they already have enough personal wealth. And it is incredibly offensive in a democracy that our head of state, the most important public position in our society, gets to be held by a person by virtue of their birth into a particular, very privileged aristocratic family. It means, for the foreseeable future, that no black or brown Briton, no matter how worthy, can be our head of state. Because that position is tied to the all-white Windsor family. So
you're not suggesting some people in the audience agree with you very clearly. So you're not suggesting a kind of French Revolution kind of off with their heads kind of thing.
No.
You don't wish them ill will on a personal basis. That you know, but you're suggesting that's just that they shouldn't be indulged any further by us.
Well, when Elizabeth's reign comes to its conclusion, I think we should have a mature public debate and we should move towards an Irish-style, low-cost, ceremonial, democratic elected head of state. Ireland has had some fantastic human rights defenders, like the current one, President Higgins, before that, Mary Robinson. These were esteemed officials who had a human rights record, who are loved by the Irish people. They had all the love and affection that the Queen has, but they were democratically elected, and they could be replaced if they went wrong. Whereas we can't replace the monarchy if they go wrong, and we know the King Edward VIII went very wrong. He was a Nazi sympathiser, and if he had not abdicated, we would have had him on the throne during the Second World War when we were fighting the Germans who he was colluding with.
I'm going to take that to Angela Levin. What do you think about this idea that it's just simply not democratic? We can't, as Peter says, we can't remove these people from the office that they've been brought into by birth.
Well, you can do if you vote against them, but if the Parliament votes against them, then you can, but that's not the point. I think it's a bit not really democratic if you talk about something that hasn't happened, that if it had happened X number of years ago, then this might have happened, because it didn't happen. I mean, the monarchy survived the 1936 abdication, and they're as strong as ever. Their popularity goes up and down a bit. They might not have as many powers as they had before, but I think the people love them, and I don't begrudge that sort of money. And also they bring in an absolute fortune. I mean, if you think of tourists, it's £550 million a year in 2020. Which was a very bad year. They bring in loads of money for the country, so they are not sort of just sponging off us because they don't want to use their own money. Anyway, I think money is only a small part of it, actually. What they do is they make us feel that we're part of a family, black, white, any colour. It's not that the monarchs are not anti any colour. They've got loads of staff that are all different sorts of colours. They've got people who are tremendously helpful in the military and all sorts of things. You can't just, say everybody has to have, exactly the right number of green, black, yellow people, because it doesn't work like that. It's a family. They've got stability. They've been there for years. Prince Philip started with looking after climate change. Prince Charles has followed him. Prince William has followed him. They've done a great deal. And it's stability. And if there is something that's very good, they help us enjoy it. And if there's something very sad, they help us get over it. It's like having a family at the side of it.
Let me take that.
And with the Queen, let me just say, with COVID, that we were all shocked and concerned when it all happened because we didn't know what was going on. We were at home, we couldn't go out shopping. It was all very, very hard. And the Queen came and spoke to us, and she usually just speaks at Christmas, and she had 24 million people listen to her talking about COVID, that we will get through it together, we will, make it, we will be all right. And it had a tremendously important effect on individuals of all types, all the way through society. And I think that that's very worthwhile, because you can't put a celebrity in there, because celebrities are very fickle. They like something one day, they don't like it the next. We don't like them. I certainly wouldn't want to put a politician in there because they would get on our nerves very quickly. The people who are behaving themselves and senior royals, they work for the monarchy and for the country. It's not about me, me, me.
I'm going to bring Peter in there. What do you make of what Angela's saying about this idea of family, about the idea that it creates a kind of communal spirit? We've got the Jubilee celebrations coming up. Surely that's quite a positive thing for the country and for the population.
Well, President Higgins does the same for the people of Ireland. He's the figure that speaks for the nation and brings the nation together.
Do you think that people have that
I want to pick up on the point about the money raised. People don't come to Britain as tourists to see the Queen because they can't see her. They come to see the palaces, the royal places. They would still come even if there was no royal family. In France, the Palace of Versailles has more tourists than any British royal palace, yet there are no French royals. They were got rid of more than 200 years ago. In Windsor Castle, Windsor Castle is a great attraction. Legoland, just a few miles away, gets more visitors, more tourists, and raises more money for Britain than Windsor Castle.
Angela, can you respond directly to that idea?
Yes, well, I think that the royal family are aware of these things, and there's a strong feeling that when the Queen passes, Balmoral will be turned into a museum, and they hope that people will go there. But I don't think that that is a reason to get rid of people, to get rid of the family, just because Legoland has the same as Windsor Castle. It's not about that. I mean, the atmosphere when somebody's living there is actually quite different. And you can't just say in numbers, you have to say what people feel like. And people are very pleased to come here because they want to see the changing of the guards.
That can go on even without the Queen.
But Peter, what do you make of this idea about
its emphasis?
About what Angela's saying about the spirit of it, the thing, the way in which the fact that we've got these celebrations coming up. Do you accept? I mean, you've mentioned this point about Ireland, but I don't sense the same emotional connection that exists here to the royal family that exists over there to him.
Well, Ireland and Britain are different. And I think it's great that a small country next door can show us the way to have a ceremonial head of state, a president, who costs 1/20th the cost of the Queen. 1/20th. He does the same job. He's revered because of his human rights record in the past in the same way. I just think that we need to be a mature democracy. The royal family symbolises elitism, privilege, deference. You know, we are citizens, but we're also legally subjects of the Queen under her rule and dominion. I think that's really offensive in the 21st century.
Let's ask Angela about that. Wouldn't you rather be a citizen than a subject?
Well, I don't feel either. I just feel like an individual, actually, and I make up my mind about that. But I think what you can thank the Queen for is that she's been very keen on working for charity, and that charities are very important. And this has come down. And the royal families have done huge amounts to give people voices that would never have it before. I mean, Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, who was once not liked and now is very much liked by the Queen and many people, she has broken taboos in many areas about domestic violence, about rape. And she's spoken a lot about that. And I've spoken to the CEOs because I've just written a biography of her, and they said that she was so forceful in getting this heard. And the thing about the royals is that they have marvellous connections and wonderful ways of everyone will speak to them. Any royal who wants to speak to somebody senior and get things done, they can do that. And that goes whether it's the army or the navy, who all work towards working for this country because of the Queen. They regard her very highly. But more than that, the charities that they can give a voice to.
The Queen is patron of over 600 charities. Hardly any of them represent black and brown Britons. She's never been a patron or even visited an LGBT plus charity. She's never used the words lesbian, gay, bisexual or transgender in the 70 years since she ascended the throne in 1952. That is quite insulting to not acknowledge a section of our society. And I could go on and on and on. Her charities are mostly quite elitist, good causes.
And she's 96. You know, life when she was a young woman is very different from life now. The older ones are very open. Prince William is very open to LGBTs and all those sort of charities. But it's a different generation
do you
that we're living in.
That other members of the royal family, I mean, if you recall the work that Diana did, of course, with AIDS victims and people like that, I mean, this is quite groundbreaking stuff, right?
Yeah, but look at the way Diana was treated by the royal family. Look at the way the Queen had to be browbeaten into making a public statement and to lowering the flag on Buckingham Palace to half-mast. I mean, her behaviour over Diana's death, I think, was quite disgraceful.
But she was looking after her grandchildren up in Scotland. She wanted to, I agree with you up to a certain extent, but she wanted to keep them away from the public and anything until they'd slightly absorbed it. She didn't want them to come down within 24 hours of their mother dying and face all the hoo-ha. But the other thing is the Queen is tremendously interested in the Commonwealth. She does an awful lot for them. She started the Commonwealth Day, so whether she is the head of state or whether someone else is the head of state, that they want to come together. It's completely voluntary, and they discuss things and they share problems and they work together, and that I think is very.
This is the Commonwealth that
came last year.
This is the Commonwealth that Britain enslaved. The royal family has directly financially benefited from colonialism and slavery. Some of the riches of the royal family were rooted in and gained from actual slavery. The Queen and the rest of the world have not apologised. They're not giving it back. They don't support reparations for the millions of people in Africa and the Caribbean who suffered because of slavery. You know, we have to get real. I'm not going to blame the Queen. I'm not going to blame that. This is not about her personally. It's about the institution and the way it operates. Peter, I just think we need a more democratic, accountable, modern system.
Now, you've expressed that view very forcefully. We are running out of time, unfortunately, so I do want to give a final thought to Angela on what Peter has just proposed there.
Yes, in the Caribbean has been helped enormously by the monarchies because they have given them money to become independent. They've given them money, they've introduced visitors to go there, people to go and see the country. They have done very well. And also I think that actually you're going back 200 years. Britain was the first one that stopped slavery and did its absolute best to...
But only because the slaves rebelled. It's only because the black people in the Caribbean said we've had enough.
That is a whole other debate, as we know, which we absolutely don't have time for at the moment, although we will be having a debate later on in the show that does touch on those themes. But thank you very much to my guests, Angela Levin and Peter Tatchell, everyone.